look really nervous today. You really, really shouldn't be, you know. You look much more nervous than I am. And I am the person talking about my mental health. I mean, I did take my meds, guys. You don't have to worry about me going off the handle. I think. Did I? You know what? You guys are all really scary. It's all really new. I'm going to take some myself. Would you like some? Maybe it'll make you feel a bit better, you know. I do take my meds every 5 days out of 7, you know. So you really, really shouldn't worry about that. Okay, so I would like to start in true Oscar fashion by thanking the makers of sertraline, nozanapan and cats. And yes, I do mean saber-toothed tigers, because without them today, I would not be standing here talking to you all. I'd probably be sitting there in the corner rocking. But no, seriously, I would actually like to start by drawing your attention to this quote over here. Because for me, this quote speaks to me about acceptance about oneself. And with mental health, that is key to good mental health. Because otherwise you'll hear the stigma and you judge yourself as well as others. Now, talking about cats and medicine, you know that people who knew before my diagnosis of autism, knew that I was obsessed of cats. And when you're diagnosed with autism, it's got a special name. It's called a special interest. But everybody just thinks about it like an obsession. And I like to think I take living with a special interest or obsession to a whole new level. For those who don't know much about what I'm talking about, a special interest can be as general or specific as you like. Think of it like a zoom. You can go in and out, so it could be as general as a subject at school, or it could be zooming in and it could be looking at a map, or it could be a town, it could be anything. For instance, it could be cars or a type of car. But if you like cars, you don't sleep in your garage every night. And if you love Ferraris, you don't break into the nearest Ferrari garage every night and sleep in their Ferraris, do you? But mine's cats. So what do? I spend time on cats. I spend money on cats. I dream about cats. I dream and sleep with cats. Obviously, I don't mean sleep with cats in a rude sense, guys. You've got to bear in mind that I have speech and language issues. And it can make it sound a bit like the BFG, or just make it sound really rude and inappropriate. To give you an idea, you know, you always have one of those really old jackets you desperately want to keep for the rest of your life, even if it's a bit old and it's falling apart and it doesn't really fit you. It's a zipper jacket, right? Now, if you work really hard at it, you can end up fitting in it, but if you rush at it, you end up with the coggles in a different place, and your bits of your clothing are stuck in it, and the bottom of the zipper is up here. And that's what it's like when you have speech and language issues. It can be so embarrassing. One of the things that happened to me, which just shows you how embarrassing it can be, is that I do dog walking and dog sitting for a living sometimes, and my friend has a working Cocker Spaniel. And anybody knows anything about the breed, they are high energy dogs, so they don't get tired very easily. So I was walking this dog along the park, and I met an admiring stranger who came and fawned over the dog. And I meant to say that he was like the Duracell bunny. I said Durex bunny. And it doesn't get much better, much less embarrassing, just because you know people or because you correct yourself in time. I do a lot with animals, as you can imagine, and I did an animal course and made this friend, and I have a very uptight, nervous cat in my house. And I was talking to my new friend, and I was telling her about this cat. And I meant to say neurotic, which I do know the meaning of the word, by the way. I said erotic, and I nearly died. She's sitting there with good humour, giggling, and I was trying to curl up and die. But you know, that's not the only reason why I like cats. Cats are so important to me. They are, as well as my special interest, my anxiety and depression tablets, my social worker, my friend and my psychologist or counsellor, and a great sense of sensory input. But that's just because I like cats. I chose cats. Lots of people who are autistic choose to have a connection with their animals, their pets. Because we think they don't judge us. Have you seen this cartoon? I love this cartoon. The key word is think. How do we know? So it could be any animal. It could be a cat, a dog, a hamster, a guinea pig, or a giraffe. So give you an idea of what it's like to have a special interest, I would like you to imagine that your thought process is in your head are like water, and your mind is like a water reciprocal, which is high up. And it's got a crack in it, and we all know that water goes down to the lowest point by any means possible. So if you're stuck on a subject, you get a bit caught up in it. And it can sound from the outside a bit like the dog from Up. Does anybody know the dog from Up, the one that talks about squirrels halfway through the sentence? Hi, how are you? Cats. What have you been up to? Cats. Isn't it nice weather outside? Oh look, it's a cat! And inside our head, or if we're going on a rant, it can sound a bit like the rabbit song from Chas and Dave. You know, rabbit, 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 cat, 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 cat. I bet you're thinking right now, okay, so that sounds hard, but do something about it. Change it. Do work on it. It's not that simple. I thought that too. I thought, if I could only choose what my special interest would be, I could choose to make a career out of myself, or work really hard in an ordinary job and work up the ranks, or find love, settle down and have a family, or create world peace. And I would have things like being rich, successful, famous, or having a loving partner and kids, or a Nobel Prize of some sort. But I assure you it is not. And to give you an example of just how it's not, I knew a girl who was, I met at a meet-up group with Autism. Her special interest is a bit like having a celeb crush. She fixates on someone who's a VIP in the media, or maybe two. And at this particular meet-up, she was sitting there and she was saying that in the past she had fixated on Donald Trump, which she did not like the idea of. And with all this politics in the media, she was worried she was going to go back to him because she hadn't had one at the time. So it really isn't that easy. So, yes, I do realise that thanking saber-toothed tigers at the beginning of this is very ironic, when they are the things that designed my general anxiety disorder. But the fact is, cats are very important to me. they have helped me in so many ways. Speaking of my anxiety and my mental health, you know that my mental health breakdown, which was only just last year, brought my autism because I had a breakdown which took me to the Priory, which had a specialist in autism, and then I got diagnosed from there. But it is very common to get your diagnosis of your mental health or other things before you get an autism diagnosis. Some of them are just wrong diagnoses, but some of them are just because they're linked. Now these are called comorbidities, which I think is extremely ironic because I know that some of my comorbidities make me very morbid. And one of my big comorbidities is my general anxiety disorder. Now, as you may know, comorbidities means that they're linked. I think that general anxiety disorder and autism is so linked they're joined at the hips. I have both, and I don't know where one begins and the other ends. To give you an idea of what it's like, imagine your normal anxiety. Like a health and safety inspector, we're going through in your head everything you do, say, whatever, and checking out what the problems could be. That's a normal one. When it starts to be an anxiety disorder, it's when he is very overzealous and he just does everything and anything, and then he's yelling it in your ear at high volume, and you listen to him. It can make you feel like Chicken Little or the girl who cried wolf. I mean, is the sky falling down? Or is it like it was with me? Will I die the day before my birthday, coming home, getting hit by a car around the corner from my house, and I don't live to see my next birthday? It's a genuine worry I've had over and over in the past. And the thing is, autism starts at birth. If they're linked, it means it's likely to come at the same time. And so I've had general anxiety my whole life. One of my thoughts I had, recurring worries I had when I was little, was that robbers would steal my pocket money. That red thing in the corner, that's my pocket money holder, my little safe, and there's a key. And I would hide the key in such a bizarre place so that the robbers could not find it. I couldn't find it. I would look for hours at a time and not succeed. In fact, one of the reasons why I think I don't have it anymore is I lost it about 5 houses ago. And just to add to that scenario, I would sit at Christmas and I would have chocolate money, and I would plot that if they came in to my window while I was there, I would give them the chocolate money to fool them so they wouldn't go for my pocket money. Only I'd be so worried that this would happen after I've eaten the chocolate money. I would save the wrappers and fold them down like they were there so I could give it to them. It's totally realistic, right? It's more realistic than even the real chocolate money with the chocolate. And I'm going to be brave as a 6-year-old and do this rather than running and hiding or calling the police or my mum or something. Do you know, sometimes I feel like I have more mental health issues than the DSM-5 in America. I feel like I have so many disabilities, difficulties, mental health issues, insecurities and worries that waking up, it feels like a roulette wheel. What am I going to feel today? Am I going to feel angry, frustrated, scared, anxious, nervous, worried, isolated, confused? Even I can't keep up. In fact, one of the things that I sometimes wonder is the reason why I wear the same old Ugg boots, black trousers and handbag is because If I can't worry about that, if I can't keep up with my own issues, if I change from day to day, then how do I define myself? So I want them to look at me and go, Daisy equals something, even if it's Ugg boots, black trousers and a handbag. At least I'm defined by something. Talking of confusion, did you know that before I got the diagnosis, one of my key phrases was, I'm confused. Not necessarily because I was, but because if you don't understand everything, you need to put it into a word. And confusion, as I'm quite self-deprecating because of my anxiety, seems like the right word. But if you're not like that, you could choose a different word. I had a friend who would say that she got annoyed when she didn't understand things. And talking of confusion, one of the things, it doesn't get much easier just because you've got a diagnosis. One of the most confusing things about getting a diagnosis is the terminology. I mean, N.T, A.S.C, A.S.D, high functioning, low functioning, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 145. What the heck does it all mean? I know one of the things I thought when I was told I had A.S.D is, isn't that a type of illegal drug? N.T is either a theatre in London or it's E.T.'s big brother. And A.S.C just sounds like an asthmatic donkey to me. And just to make it even more confusing, well, you can't keep up with it just keeps chopping and changing. I was told recently that A.S.C or Asperger's syndrome is no longer used, but I learned A.S.C from an A.S.C, so clearly us A.S.Cs have not got the memo. And as well as, so it's yet one more other thing to blooming remember, A.S.D is A.S.C, Autism Spectrum Condition. It reminds me of trying to learn things at school. I don't know if anybody else had this experience, but at secondary school, I spent 4 years out of 5 learning that atoms are made out of protons, electrons and neutrons. Only to find for year 5 that, as one boy put it, we'd been lied to, because neutrons are just a bunch of protons and electrons stuck together. The other one is, does anybody know whether Pluto is a planet or not at the moment? Because I've given up. It's a planet, it's not a planet, it's an elephant, what is it? Talking about mental health and my A.S.D, they all led to each other, and I was diagnosed at 25. You may be thinking, why was I diagnosed with something you get born with? At the age of 25? Well, the simple answer is I just blamed my mum, because she didn't want me to go to a specific autistic school. She wanted me to mimic or copy normal people.